Today we're doing pretty much a full face of all new makeup releases. I have a mixture of things, I always do. I have done several videos on my channel doing the MAC Connecting Color eyeshadow palettes. I picked up another one. You guys, this is number 4. I did reference this on my channel saying that I picked up a 4th, but it hadn't arrived. This one is called the Bronze Influence. This is one of the smaller 6-pan palettes. Yeah, 3 of these and then one of the larger 12-pan palettes is what I have in my collection now. I've just been so impressed with the matte formula that I wanted to get another one. Also, Urban Decay launched the Hydromanic Glow Hydrator Blush. So I want to test this out. I got one shade, it's Wrecked. Fenty dropped a new shade, I guess. It's Riri in one of her gloss bombs. So I want to try that. Kosis also came out with a lip product. This is the Wet Stick Moisturizing Lip Shine. So I want to try that. Milk Makeup dropped their Rise mascara. So I picked this up. This is a waterproof mascara. It's a perfect time because it is so freaking hot here. I live in Florida, for those of you who are first-time viewers. It was like 94 degrees where I was today, and it had to have been like 80% humidity. It's ridiculously hot. I'm like in this tank top, my hair is up, and I hate to say it, but the fan is on again. And there might be some muffled sounds because you guys do tell me when the fan is on there are muffled noises. I can't help it. Like, I feel like I might get a shield to put up here so that like it doesn't hit the mic, even though there's one of those little fuzzy things on there. It is just so hot up here. I literally have the AC cranked down to 69. But that's pretty much it, you guys. Let's hop right into it. Oh, and I did want to mention, you guys, for my base, because I didn't put it on, I was gonna put the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation on. This is a reformulation. I did do a dedicated video on this, and I am sad to say, I'll talk while I put it on. I am sad to say that they discontinued the old version, and when they reformulated this, they did so in a way that this became a natural or radiant finish, and the other one was a matte finish, which I didn't even realize until they both were available, or they were both listed like on Sephora's website, and Sephora had them listed as like matte finish or radiant finish until this one launched, and then they yanked the old version from the stock that they had. Even though this says it's radiant, it's not an overly radiant product. It can be set down. So it wasn't like super different from the other one. The biggest difference is it's not long lasting. Because it's that radiant finish, I noticed after like 5 hours, it was like completely gone in like the center of my face. And honestly, because it's just so hot, most of the time right now, I'm reaching for really matte foundations. See the radiance on this? It's a beautiful foundation if you've never tried the previous version and you're really into like a radiant foundation. This is awesome. Like, it's perfect light to medium coverage. You can build this up. It's just that there was something about the old version that just really, I don't know, it was like skin-like and lasted all day. I think this is still skin-like, it just doesn't last all day. I'm gonna go into my Dior. Why do I keep seeing things in the freaking viewfinder? Like, my hair's all wacko. I'm gonna use the Forever Skin Correct from Dior. This is actually the original, not the reformulated version. And I'm kind of finding also that I think the reformulated version like creases a little bit under my under eyes. You know, both of those were really basically holy grail products for me. So I think they screwed themselves with the reformulation, if I'm being honest. I just don't think that the concealer, even though they're relatively similar, I don't think the concealer is as good as the old version. I don't think the Face and Body Foundation is as good as the old version. And I really hope they don't freaking touch this, because I freaking love this powder. This is my second one that I'm on. I can't even tell you when the last time I repurchased a powder was, just because I test so much makeup and I have so many powders that I actually really do like these days because my skin is changing so much. But this is such a beautiful like finishing product, slightly setting, not overly setting. And if they reformulate this because it was genius, they're stupid. Because I know there's really no fallout in the MAC eyeshadow palette, let's go into that next. So I told you guys this was the 6-pan palette. This one is in the Color Story Bronze Influence. These are pretty high price point, but I wouldn't say they're high for MAC necessarily. All of their packaging is so gorgeous. Like, I'm loving the fact that I picked up 3 and I'm gonna have like these cute designs and like sets that I can keep together. But these mattes have been tremendous, such good quality. The shimmers are more of your everyday shimmer. They're just not like super reflective, but that's also good for a lot of people for everyday wear, because there are a lot of folks that like go into the office and they really need, you know, something that's more on the demure side. So I thought we would swatch this. So I'll just go top to bottom, left to right, and I'll kind of show you how these shimmers are just so light. They're really, really light. This one actually has a pretty uneven ratio between mattes and shimmers. This actually has more shimmers in it than it does mattes. I think there's more shimmers in this one than there was in the other two 6-pan palettes. So they don't swatch terrible, right? They're nice and pigmented. They just don't have a whole lot of light reflection to them. That's pretty much it. There's only 2 mattes in this whole palette. So this is almost like a greenish black shade. This is really what you'd have to deepen with, I think, if you wanted to deepen the outer corner. You, of course, don't have to do that. That's just something that I really like to do. So that is what I will do with this palette. But it's almost like green, right? Like it looks like a deep forest green. This shimmer, it's like a satin. They're all like satins basically, but this one felt really, really good. Nice and pigmented. Here is the last matte. It's a really good transition shade. It's a nice color story. They call it bronze influence, and you know, I think it suits its name really well. And that is something that I found with the other palettes. It's just like, I don't know, their names corresponded with the color stories really well. Yeah, I'm telling you guys, these mattes are freaking amazing. So I'm not gonna speed through this process because I think it'll be a pretty simple eye look, but I'm gonna go into this one as a transition shade on both eyes. I haven't been getting any fallout with these, and they're pigmented enough that I really don't have to spend a whole bunch of time building. You know what? This one is pulling like this mauvey shade on me. I mean, I guess it kind of does here, but when I get it to the eyes, doesn't it look more mauve? It's kind of pretty. But yeah, like see how easily you get pigment without it being patchy? These mattes are just awesome. You know what, I'm gonna stop for a second and I'm gonna throw on the Kosis Wet Stick Moisturizing Lip Shine. I picked this one up in the shade Malibu, which is supposed to be a cool mauvey pink. Here's the packaging. It's actually heftier than maybe it looks. Here's the little bullet. I've been seeing a lot of companies coming out with circle bullets lately. This shade looks perfection. Ooh, it has a nice shine to it. Nice and opaque. That looks like a throw in your purse, right? Doesn't it? Oh, you guys, that is so smooth. You know what that feels like? The YSL Rockin' Shines, just like that. Maybe not as shiny as the Rockin' Shines from YSL, but pretty darn close. It does have a magnetic close. This does feel more luxe than I think it looks. Yeah, I just really like this shade. It's just your everyday throw on. Okay, so I built the transition. There is not a whole lot else that you can kind of put in the crease. Actually, let's take the satin one that I liked swatching so much and let's throw that little bad boy in there. Just to deepen it up a little bit, because I usually do 3 shades all the time. You know, because these shimmers are so soft, or satins I guess are so soft, that you really could use them as like mattes. Like there's no harm in using any of these shades, I think, to really use in a way that you would use mattes. I mean, they do have like a little bit of texture to them. I mean, they're not like fully matte, and so, you know, you can kind of see the texture on my lid, but otherwise, they're just so light, they're not really shimmers, you know? All right, I'm going into that really deep shade. I'm a little bit scared. Oh, it's like green. Doesn't it have just like this hint of green? I'm telling you guys, MAC, there's something about their shadows, and like they're pigmented, but they have this like ability to be really super blendable, and they're like on the softer side of pigmentation, so they're like buildable. They're just such good quality. I'm telling you guys, any of you that have seen any of my other videos with these, I have not. I mean, the rose lens was a little bit disappointing just because I don't know, some of the mattes I didn't like love, I guess, or there just wasn't enough depth for me. But every one of these other palettes has been such a surprisingly delightful formula. You guys, I tend to go up on my upper lid a little bit because I really, you know, if I'm looking at you, you can't see that I did anything in this outer corner here if I don't take it up, and I really like to. So my eyes are so freaking hooded. That was so easy. And you worry about a shade like this just being too dark and too pigmented that you can't really blend it out. The thing with these are they never over blend. And you know what? Now that I think about it, so many times I get such a muddy look out of shadows with the deeper shades, like especially deeper cool tone shades. But honestly, with all the MAC ones, I really don't find that they look muddy. MAC just has this way about formulating their mattes, and none of these palettes have been like a dud in my opinion. Maybe the Rose Lens wasn't like my absolute favorite, but other than that, I'm gonna go for this fully smoky eye. Like, that's just what's happening. So I actually do like notice a little bit of transfer onto my lower lash line. So I am gonna clean this up just slightly, and I think I took it maybe a little bit too far on the left side. Looks pretty good. You know, I look at the shimmers, and as much as I wanna go for a different shimmer right now, I feel like it would be only fair to just stick with the palette. So if this is your first video, you can see what they look like on the eye. There's just not a whole lot to them. They're pigmented, but there's no light reflection. And I usually do like a shimmery lid because my eyes are so hooded, and you know, like you don't really see them. Okay. So I usually like to do something to make them stand out. No issue with pigmentation. Not that, MAC. Could have just used a little bit of light reflection. So I went into that middle orange shade on the middle part, and now I'm just gonna go with that lighter champagne color. That was the first one that I swatched. See, they're on the lighter side. They just, they're definitely everyday or even like wedding appropriate. I can see these being something that someone would really enjoy using for their wedding. Just a very soft, very subtle satin shimmer. I am making a little bit of a mess on this side. It's just maybe not exactly what I kind of hope for every day, because I like to, you know, I don't know, play around and have a little bit of fun with shimmers, because I guess I'm just kind of a shimmer gal. I'm sorry, you guys, if you can hear the fan and the audio sucks. I will probably melt away into nothing if I don't have it on. So I'll come up with an alternative solution. But Bronze Seduction, what do you guys think? Do you think it came out pretty nice? Like, it definitely all blended together really nicely. I mean, I create more of a deepening shade on the outer corner than maybe some of you would, but the shade is perfect for that. And again, some of these lighter shimmers can be used like satins all over. So I think you get a little bit more versatility with the palette than if you just used the satins or shimmers just like shimmers. So this one is a really good like smoky eye if you're into pairing like cool tone deeper shades with some bronzy shades, because you have this one to bring in, which I did, which actually seemed to like add quite a bit of warmth to an mostly cool toned palette. I do not have a new bronzer, so I'm just gonna use my Kosis. This is the Sun Show bronzer in the shade Waves. You guys, I really like this bronzer. It's like slightly radiant. It's this beautiful tone. It's super creamy and delectable on the skin. This is also a recent release for Kosis. I'd say in the last like 3 months. I really like this. This is like my favorite Kosis product, honestly. It's mostly like the shade, but also this formula is fantastic. I can just tell how much prettier and like smooth with a slight bit of radiance it has in comparison to some of my other bronzers. It's just more of a natural looking bronzer, if you will. I will link everything that I am using today in the description box, even if it wasn't like a new release. Speaking of new releases, let's move on into the Urban Decay Hydromanic Blush Glow Hydrator. I am assuming this is going to be more on the sheer side. It says 24-hour maniac hydration, insanely juicy flush, kombucha filtrate and marula oil, and it's a vegan formula. It also says all day wear, so it's supposed to be like a long lasting juicy flush, I guess, which the flush part makes me think like, and just looking at the swatches on Sephora's website, was that it's more of a like sheer formula with just like a lot of radiance. But we're gonna find out if I can ever get it out of the darn box. So here's the packaging. 12-month shelf life, made in the USA. I'm assuming squeezy tube, yes. And again, this was in the shade Flushed, and I can't remember what it was, but I'm assuming it's like a mauvey pink. That's what it looks like, but I don't know what the description is. So here's me rubbing it in. Actually more pigment than I thought, and I don't know if it's exactly getting patchy as I'm rubbing it in. I mean, with your finger, it's a little bit difficult to kind of tell how it will apply to the powdered skin. I mean, it's definitely slightly on the patchy side, but like that little bit of product went a long way. Not super opaque, but yes, there is a flush, like it says. Not like an overly staining formula. It came off really quickly. So what brush do I want to use? What brush? Okay, I grabbed myself a brush. I'm gonna put it on the back of my hand again, and then I'm gonna tap the brush in just like this, like bounce it into my hand, and then go into the cheeks. See how this applies. I'll see if I can't like get close up for you guys. I actually think it's staying like pretty solid. It is even on top of this powder, and more pigmentation than I thought it was gonna have, but it's glowing. We're glowing, you guys. Look how much we're glowing. Wow, I actually think I kind of got carried away with that. That looks juicy. Doesn't it look juicy? I said that about the new Makeup by Mario Soft Pop blushes. This one is even juicier with more pigmentation. Look at that cheek. Wow, I really like this. I'm not usually into like overly glowy products, but I feel like this looks juicy. So we'll see how it dries down. I don't know, just something about the finish of this, and also like the pigmentation and just kind of how natural it looks is exciting. Let's do the same thing on the other side. I'm just, again, bouncing it into the back of my hand from that little dot. And by the way, the shade is delicious. Not too much pink in one direction, also not too much red in the other, or maybe even like a little bit of purple. I don't know, it's just really nice. I went really heavy. Like, I'm looking at my cheeks now and I'm like, man, it packs good pigment. So maybe you want to take even less than that. I don't, because every time I put on like a really punchy blush and I get really excited, I do watch the videos back and the color doesn't translate the same as when it's in person, and then I look at the video and I'm like, I'm saying that the blush is super punchy and it doesn't always look that way on camera, or at least in the video when it plays back. This, all I can see when I'm looking right now is just glow, glow, glow. Like, I just keep looking in the mirror over here and I can't see anything but cheek. I feel like I kind of want to try and set it, especially for those of you who like to set their blushes because they don't like an overly sticky finish. I think this is important that we test this. Okay, you guys, it sets down. I knock some of the radiance off, but not all of it. So here's before setting, and here's after setting. Still holds a good amount of pigmentation, so the product can be set down. I went in with a really fluffy brush and just tapped over it, so I didn't swipe, so it still has a little bit of tack to it. I actually think both finishes are beautiful. I don't mind like the radianceness before I set it. The only issue I think would be it transferring, like me touching it with my fingers or touching something else. That part I don't like. I don't like an overly sticky finish. It doesn't overemphasize texture either for how radiant it is. It's just really quite nice. I really like this blush. I'm really into cream and liquid blushes. They're all the rage. Like, everybody's putting out their version, and I hate it because none of them are sucking. If some of them sucked, I could say something else, but they don't suck. This doesn't suck. I loved this shade in Wrecked. What did I say the shade was before? Flushed? I don't know what the hell I said, but anyway, it's in the shade Wrecked. It's really cool. Let's put on the mascara. So again, this is called the Rise Mascara. and it is waterproof. It says curved lash lift brush. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. It hugs and lifts from the root, and it has wavy bristles to help coat the lashes evenly. It's supposed to be a lifting, a lengthening, and a volumizing mascara all in one. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you guys, they have come out with this mascara before, but this is the waterproof version. So I think this was like last year or even the year before, and I think it's an Allure winner. I don't know, it's some award-winning mascara from them, and I never tried that version, but the waterproof version that they put out, and I think they feel like they changed the name slightly. Like they're calling it Rise Mascara. I don't know, something about it is slightly different, but the packaging is still the same. Like it has this rubberized outer thing. It's like a plastic tube, but it almost feels like I could probably, yeah, look, I could totally like pull this off if I wanted to. But it just has this rubberized outer packaging. Anyway, the waterproof version for me here in Florida is just more intriguing. I think a lot of my mascaras are like waterproof, or I just gravitate towards them, especially in the summertime. So yes, not necessarily like a new mascara in their line, just the waterproof version. Here's the wand. It has the slight curve, like it said. It doesn't pick up like a whole lot of product on the wand necessarily, so we'll see. But it sounds pretty wet in there. Let's go in. We're going on the right eye. Dang it, I forgot to curl my lashes. I always forget to curl my lashes. The bristles are really soft. Like they're pliable, just really, really soft. Did I just get it on my eye? I feel like I just got it on my eye. Oh well, like right there. Oops. I feel like you could get really close to the lash line because these bristles are nice and soft. I love the Tower 28 mascara, but I put it on again today and I'm like, man, the bristles are so hard that like they scare me and they kind of hurt. They're a little bit stabby. There is one coat. You know, when people say coat, I don't really know what that means because I sit there and kind of build up. Like I just keep going until I'm kind of satisfied with the look. I wouldn't say that it's like overly pigmented, but it has good volume. And when they say lengthening, I assume that they mean that it's pigmented enough that you can see your natural length, because it's not like a tubing mascara or anything. It's actually on the drier side. You can tell it was getting dry as I was like building it up. It wasn't like staying wet. And so it did start to tug slightly on my lashes as I was like sitting there continuing to build it, and it was starting to dry. It's nice though, it's pretty. So it says it's a lifting and lengthening waterproof mascara that holds curl and adds subtle volume for the most natural looking defined lashes possible. I think that what it says, it does. Of course, this may just be, you know, the same formula. If you guys are used to this mascara or you've tried it before, like it's probably not different than that, other than now it's waterproof. Although I have to say that waterproof does oftentimes like change the formula. Look, it just transferred on my lower lash. It's pigmented enough that don't blink. I will say though, it's very, very natural looking. Okay, I think I'm done. Okay, there's some good positives about this mascara. The first one, I would say that because it's not overly wet formula, even though it did transfer on me, it's wet enough, but it dries down pretty quickly, that it doesn't clump the lashes together. And so it really does kind of separate them in a really flattering way. Now I just have waterproof mascara on my freaking skin. You guys, I can't even get this waterproof mascara off. Hello? Okay, it's waterproof. Tested. So I think this is a really good product. You can see that getting it transferred onto your skin or wherever, it just is really long lasting. It's definitely waterproof. The wipe that I'm using is not like a regular makeup wipe, so it has no makeup remover on it. It's literally just water. You're probably gonna want to use like a waterproof makeup remover or like oil-based makeup remover at the end of the night. Let's move on into the last product, which is the Gloss Balm in the shade Riri from Fenty. This one looks like a super grungy kind of purple color. Wow, you guys, isn't that pretty? Like, can you see the sparkles back on the camera? It's really, really pretty in this light. I hope it's translating. And I will say, where the heck is the Kosis? This one, really hydrating. Like, it just seemed to kind of like smooth out my lips too. And I love the shade in Malibu. But it had to be taken off because we're going into this bad boy. I'm actually gonna swatch it first because I want to see if any of those little sparkles translate. They really do. You can see a lot of the sparkles in there. It's a really pretty shade. Look at that. That's your everyday, just gorgeous mauve shade. It looks so much darker in the tube than like when I get it to my lips. Same great formula, very flattering shade, if I do say so myself. That was everything. Let's do a final wrap up. I don't think you can go wrong with these MAC connecting colors. This is my 4th one. There's probably only 7 in the whole line. So if that tells you something, now you know. I really enjoyed this Kosis. I kind of like buy stuff like this when it comes to lip products, and I'm like, I'm never gonna be wowed by a lip product, you know? But then when you are, because they're just so comfortable and you're like, yeah, like I love the color, it's so everyday, it's so flattering on me, this is a throw in my purse, I love it. I enjoy that about it. I don't think you guys will not like this because it's just so hydrating and like universally smooth. Yes, yes. I'll talk about the Dior just a little bit, but my thoughts really haven't changed much from my original video. The only thing I would say and add is a comment that I actually left on like someone else's comment is that this wears off in about 5 hours. It doesn't matter like how I set it. I've been setting it with different powders because I've been grabbing for it like almost every day since the video where I tried it on. So anyway, if this was one of your holy grails, you guys, I just think that you're gonna be a little bit disappointed in this new reformulation. I thought that they should have kept the original and just added a radiant finish and like had 2 different finishes. That's how I probably would have done it if I was like, you know, creative director or whatnot. Because I know it's a way for brands to like release new products and like get revenue, but at the same time, like if it's not broken, don't fix it. That was so aggressive. Okay, this super gorgeous shade. Also very universal shade for most skin tones. This Hydromanic, I actually really liked. If you guys are fans of Urban Decay, I mean, you're not gonna be surprised, but when I buy stuff like this and I just don't buy a lot of things from Urban Decay and I see that it calls itself a flushed anything, I get a little, you know, skeptical. But I still wanna try them, especially on camera for you guys if you're interested in these. But this was super good. You can easily set this down. It's no longer sticky. Yeah, it's no longer sticky. It's not gonna transfer. Still a good amount of pigmentation, but it does have that added super gloriously flushed radiant look. So if you guys are into that, best of both worlds here is what I think. And I'm digging this mascara in the waterproof version. If it's changed in formulation in any way because you guys have tried the original, I would say that this is a damn good waterproof mascara and that it works, you know, it worked. I'm looking around, but that's it. So those are my final thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you're not a current subscriber, I would love for you guys to subscribe. I'm out of here and I'll catch you all in my next video.